I like this because now Cody gets to come in and clean up the mess, right? Like Cody gets to come in and actually talk about something that is that makes people smile, and that is the direction that this Denver Broncos team is going after having tracked down their starting quarterback for now and for the future last year in the draft in Bo Nix. And of course, Cody Roark, you see him on the Locked On Broncos podcast. You see him on his film room studies right here on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel. And of course, you read all of his coverage and everything at milehighsports.com. Cody, obviously, we're not going to gain a lot out of rookie minicamp. We know that. It's just a matter of kind of getting those guys in. I mean, I always feel like half the time it's just making sure that these rookies know where the bathroom is in the facility, right? I mean, you just kind of got to figure out, you got to know your way around. Where's the cafeteria? Where's the bathroom? Where's my locker? Those kinds of things. Where do I go? Like they showed the video of Sanders needing the code to get into the facility with the Browns, right? I mean, sometimes it's just those kinds of things. But talk to me about what you felt that came out of the rookie minicamp. Obviously, the media was allowed to be there on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it was a scorching day. I got sunburned, breaking news. So if you see me wearing a hoodie, this summer, there's a reason why. It's because my skin burns too easily. But no, Nate, it was a great day to observe practice and to see all these rookies, undrafted guys, a couple of professional tryout players, just get an opportunity to work. The one thing people have been asking me, what do the edge rushers look like? What do the D linemen look like? You can't really evaluate what they look like right now just because there are no pads. There is no physical contact. A lot of it's just engaging with your arms. It's arm fighting. So you really can't evaluate that. But the good news is you can evaluate the skill players, the running backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the linebackers, the corners, the safeties. That's where I think the bread and butter of Saturday's minicamp practice was. We got our first look at Jahdae Barron, who Nate, guy moves so dang crisp. He's got great footwork. I mean, he and PS2, I think, are going to be a great fit defensively. We got to see Pat Bryant, the Broncos third-round wide receiver, which a lot of people, didn't know who Pat Bryant was initially when he was selected. And people are like, wait a minute, that's not the guy I had in my mock draft. Well, yeah, I just put a film review up of Pat Bryant against Rutgers, the All-22. It's on Mile High Sports YouTube page right now if you want to check it out. But we got our first look at these guys. And Nate, just the skill players, there is some flash there, which is exciting to see. And of course, RJ Harvey, he's got quads. He's unbelievably big, for a guy who's 5'9". So great job by Danny Bailey behind us. He's Quadzilla. I mean, it's ridiculous, but he's springy. He's fast. This was, in my opinion, I think just a nice little pickup here for the Broncos. But ultimately, you can only get so much out of one practice. The skill players, you can watch how they read and react to things. But man, it's just setting things up for OTAs, which is coming up here in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Okay, hold on a second. Danny, put that photo back up for just a second, man. I'm not saying this dude is going to be Saquon, okay? But this guy has not missed leg day, Cody. Holy crap, those quads. I mean, that's a dude that is ready to take a punishment and keep churning. That's what you want to see in a running back, because that is a guy that if he gets hit, he's going to keep moving those legs.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the strength in that. Holy cow. Ron Chenoy of USA Today took that photo. I want to give Ron credit because he posted that one up, and holy cow. I saw that over the weekend and I thought, all right, man, I don't know whether he can be Saquon. I'm not here to make any kind of comparisons, but yeah, that guy's ready to go. And now, of course, you put him into an NFL workout regimen. You work on his upper body. You work on some of the twitch skills and the strength that goes and the quickness that goes with those. And you've got a great opportunity to have a running back that can ultimately make an impact from a rookie standpoint. Anything that Sean Payton had to say over the weekend, whether about the rookies or otherwise, Cody, that stood out to you? Or are we just kind of coasting through the coach speak here till we get to OTAs?
I think Sean was in a great mood, on Saturday. I think he during this time of the year, he tends to share a lot with us. Once we get into the regular season, it kind of changes a little bit, which I understand. I certainly understand that as a former coach myself. But like he talked about, I asked him about Caleb Lohner, the 7th round tight end out of Utah, and kind of what he's seen, because he's got a limited sample size overall as a football player, but he said that at the pro day, he moved really well. So I asked him how that transition has gone, and he said it's gone really well. And he says, really, it's as much up to the coaches as it is also on the player to get him to where he needs to be. But he says that he has traits that, and he kind of glue about it. He said, this kid has traits that really excite me. And, everyone's talked about the comparisons to Jimmy Graham, and Jimmy obviously was a 3rd-round pick. Jimmy also had more overall sample size, than a guy like Caleb Lohner. But he said, you see the work ethic, you see the mindset, you meet this kid, you shake his hand, you stand next to him, you talk to him, but then you also see how he works. And you're like, it does excite me quite a bit. And I'll say this, Nate, I watched him move, in various offense versus defense type of drills as he rotated in with the various quarterbacks that were throwing. He moves well for his size, 6'7", 250 something pounds. And I mean, he's a little bit of a force. He's a sizable target in the middle of the field. And I mean, there's just so much I think you can try to do with him, but ultimately we got to see the pads come on. But that's what the Broncos, they can't wait. They want to get to that point here sooner rather than later.
Well, and I think, that's just natural. I think not only for, an athlete standpoint, when when you're off the field for, months on end and you just want to get back and get to doing that. But I think when you come off of that 2024 season that had such positivity to it, I think it makes you, as both a player and as a coach, want to get back at it, right? Because you have this positive momentum. I mean, yeah, you lost in the wild card round, so be it. But you have this great positive momentum that you want to see what you can build on as you move into 2025. So I completely understand this idea of being excited to be back. And you're right. We've seen it and I don't even want to just single out Sean Payton, Cody. I think we've seen this in a lot of coaches. When you get an opportunity to interact with somebody like Sean Payton, and you're doing it in the month of May, you're doing it, at the combine, or you're doing it as OTAs, there's always a little bit more of a loose version of that coach than what you get once you're into the routine. So, I think you see some of that personality come out, and you see it in the players too. Let's be honest. I mean, during OTAs and things, Peyton Manning was always more relaxed, right? And then his interaction with the reporters would change once things were starting to get serious. One of the things that I guess you could say Sean Payton addressed, Cody, but almost didn't address it, and that is the quad injury and the return when it comes to Greenlaw. Your takeaway from those comments.
Well, I mean, look, Sean's never the type of guy that's going to go through and give us an injury report. Like, he'll tell us that 9 times out of 10 in the regular season. He's like, I'm not going to talk about injuries. But once again, you get Sean where he's loose, the weather's nice, the sun's out, you smell the fresh cut grass, and it's like, all right, hey, you know what? Things are really good right now. We're setting the table for the season. But obviously, we all know that as somebody in San Francisco in that market put out a report initially a few weeks ago that Dre Greenlaw suffered a serious injury, was going to miss time into the regular season. Dre Greenlaw came out himself and disputed that and said, no, that's not the case. I'll be all right. And obviously we got confirmation that, it's going to be weeks, not months, that are necessarily going to shelf him there. But, Sean did say, hey, he's going to be fully ready to go for training camp. But he also acknowledged, he said, he says, I see things. And sometimes it's hard to restrain myself from wanting to say something. Like he is all of us, when we see that. I'm more likely to say something than he is. But, he said, I had to restrain myself, but, no worries. We're all good there. He'll be full go for the start of training camp, which for the Broncos, that's the main thing. That's what matters. OTAs, mandatory minicamp, that stuff doesn't matter right now.
Yeah, it doesn't. We got to wait till we get to the actual training camp there at the end of July, and that's when things will start to layer in. And it's also when we really truly get a chance to look at some of these rookies, some of these undrafted guys, et cetera, that they're going to bring in, and how they interact with their teammates, how they interact with the coaches, and how they do within their position groups as well. So we get into much more of the analysis when we get to that point. I want to end with you on this note, Cody. I've never it's treated like it's Christmas Day, and I understand it. I really, really do. But coming up on Wednesday, we get the NFL version of Christmas in July, and that is the release of the schedule. We do know that the NFL announced this morning that the Eagles will host the Dallas Cowboys. That will be the Thursday night kickoff game at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia for the Super Bowl champions. That it will be against the Cowboys. That will obviously be a lot of fun, an NFC East matchup, and a game that already gets attention because it starts the season. Now you're going to have even more attention because you've got such a great rivalry there between those two teams. But you put up on milehighsports.com earlier today, and I love this. This is Cody. This is not any inside info. No. This is simply Cody saying, here are the 9 games that are going to be at home. Here are the 8 games that are going to be on the road. And Cody went in and essentially tried to predict what he thinks is going to happen on the schedule. I want to highlight just a couple of things that are on here. First and foremost, Cody, your prediction is that the Broncos will open the season at home Monday Night Football against Joe Burrow.
Ooh.
Man, that would be fun if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, you get a rematch between Joe and Bo. I mean, there you go. It rhymes right there. But the second matchup between these two guys where Bo Nix dueled really well with Joe in that first game there. You had the thriller at the end from Marvin Mims. And I think now in hindsight, we all look back and say, you know what, the Broncos should have gone for 2 at that point versus letting Joe Burrow and company get an opportunity to possess it in overtime there. Denver had every opportunity to win that game. Fell through their fingertips. But, obviously they paid T. Higgins. They paid Jamar Chase. They got Joe Burrow back. And they also, the Broncos go out there and they get Jahdae Barron. They have Pat Surtain. They add Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga. You revamp defense against that offense that is so capable of putting up points. That, to me, is exciting because now you're going to see Pat Surtain travel a little bit more. Jahdae Barron, Riley Moss, a nice little rematch. And hey, fireworks, Monday Night Football, a doubleheader. It doesn't get any better than that, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Another highlight in your sort of, you're trying to guess what could happen. You have the Broncos, and this has been speculated for quite a while, that the Broncos will be one of the international opponents for one of the teams that has given up a home game to go play internationally. Your prediction is that they'll play the Jets in London.
Yeah. Well, initially we had some rumblings that they were going to be taking on the Colts in Berlin, but from what has been reported, the Colts blocked that from happening apparently. So the New York Jets, obviously one of those teams who will be, an international home team. The Broncos have to play on the road at the Jets this year. It just makes a little sense here when you look at Darren Muji, former Broncos assistant general manager, now the GM over there in New York, Aaron Glenn under the Sean Payton coaching tree. That fun matchup right there. And they're going to have obviously Justin Fields as their QB over there. And I think that would be, a nice little table to kind of set the stage for the middle part of the season. The unfortunate thing about that coming in week 6 is that you have your week 7 bye. Whereas I am just kind of like the coaches. I like the bye week 10, week 9-ish, somewhere along those lines. So, a little bit of an earlier bye than we've been accustomed to the last couple of years, but the Broncos, they have to become, they have to take care of business at home. You have 9 home games. I think early on in the way I have my schedule kind of breaking up there, I think they play 4 road games in the first 6 weeks. So, hey, you knock out half your, road games in that stretch, the second half of the season sets up well for defending the home turf against some really tough teams.
On the rest of that, and I'll let everybody check the rest of it out at milehighsports.com. We know that every team winds up on Thursday Night Football. We've certainly seen the Broncos do Thursday nighters against the Chiefs, but you think this time it's going to happen against the Chargers? I'll take it. I think the Thursday night games are fun. I know it's not the favorite thing of the players and the coaches all the time, but it just should always, Thursday night should always be that divisional rivalry that we all want to see.
100%. I don't think there should ever be a Thursday night matchup that contains 2 teams. You're like, why are these guys playing each other? Division rivalries. And obviously, I think with the NFL moving towards it this season, you're not going to see it with the Broncos in the AFC West this year, but they're creating rivalry jerseys that, teams are going to start wearing. I think the AFC East is going to be one of the teams that wears them this year, but Denver maybe trying to get, revenge on the road in a Thursday Night Football rematch against the Chargers from, what happened last year. The Broncos had a 2-score lead in that game in the third quarter. It got away from them. Things that worked in the first half, they kind of went away from the second half there when they were trying to really control their destiny. So I got that one. And then obviously I've got them closing out the season, week 18, against the Kansas City Chiefs at home, a game that obviously if there's big stakes, that'll probably be flexed to Sunday Night Football. If that's the case, and hey, let's make it interesting. Let's say it's for the division crown. That would be fantastic here for the Broncos. It kind of played out, I think, perfectly for how I was hoping it would kind of, formulate. So we'll see where it actually goes when the schedule makers release it on Wednesday.
Yep, we will see it on Wednesday. Like I said, it's the NFL's Christmas in July equivalency. They used to do it right around the draft. Then they realized, hey, we've already got all the eyeballs on us because of the draft. Let's hold off on the schedule for an extra month or so, and that's what they're doing. It'll come out on Wednesday late afternoon. Cody will be able to break it down for you once that happens. But if you want to have some fun, like I said, Cody, no inside info, no nothing. This is just Cody saying in his mind how he would lay out the schedule based on the opponents, the home and away. But it is really important to note, and we will talk about it a lot here leading up to the season, that this is one of the years that they have 9 home games during the regular season instead of 9 on the road. So we will check it all out when it happens on Wednesday and get a chance to visit about it more. Make sure you are following Cody on all the social media channels. Make sure you are checking out all of his film room studies that are posted up right here on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel. And of course, hosting it there with the Locked On Broncos podcast as well. Cody, we appreciate you here on this sunshine-filled Monday. Make sure you get one of those like fishing shirts, man. We gotta cover you up and keep you from turning into a radish.
Well, I mean, I'm going to Italy for my honeymoon, in July, so that's going to be brutal. And then I got to come straight back into the training camp heat. My skin might burn off at that point, so we'll see where we're at.
Well, my stepdaughter was playing in a flag football event on Saturday, sponsored by the Broncos, as a matter of fact, out there at the Aurora Sports Complex, and we all got sunburned out there. Every parent, every kid, it didn't matter. You could tell we were all out in the sunshine for the first time in a long time. We all wound up burnt. I've got a pretty nasty one going right around my sock line right now. So
the worst.
Those are the worst, man. He's Cody Roark. Cody, thank you.
Thank you.